In this video, I am painting my Shiranui from the King of Fighters and the Fatal Fury game franchise. I've started with a brown spray primer, and now that everything's primed, I'm going over all the flesh tones with a purple zenithal shade. I'm hitting all the shadow areas with this purple. After the zenithal shade dries, I'm coming in with a zenithal highlight. Hello, Willem Dafoe. Hello again. When you're doing these zenithal shades and highlights, be mindful of where the natural light source would be. Now that the highlights had time to dry, I'm going over all of the flesh with a brown ink. This will help add randomness and imperfection to the skin. After the inks had a chance to dry, I'm going over the entire surface with the flesh tone that I'm going to be using. This is a craft paint flesh tone. When watered down, it's somewhat translucent, which is actually pretty helpful. It means that all those ink speckles are going to come through nicely. After I coat the entire surface of the skin with the flesh tone, I'll let it dry and come in with a few layers of highlights. Again, be mindful of where the natural light will fall when the model's put together. Mai's hair is brown, so I'm going with a darker brown over the brown primer. For the hair on the head, I've chosen to use a brush as opposed to the airbrush. I don't want to have to mask off the face, especially when the hair is so easy to paint with a brush. It will take a few coats though. I'm coming in now and adding a medium brown to all the hair. This is something of a highlight. This sculpt is by Abe 3D, though I should mention that I resculpted the ponytail. This model doesn't come pre-supported, and I was having a hell of a time with the original ponytail. After a few failures, I decided to just sculpt a ponytail that wasn't quite as detailed. I think it fits the model pretty well, though I will admit it doesn't look nearly as good as Abe's original. I'm coming in with an even lighter brown highlight. This is almost a yellow. That yellow highlight did a great job of highlighting the hair, but it's a bit washed out at this point. Not quite as brown as I want it to be. So I'm going over all the hair with a transparent brown ink, the same one I used on the skin for the freckles. I think the ink does a really good job of unifying the hair. Quite a bit of the clothing on this model is white. Not that there is much clothing there, but you know what I mean. So I'm going over everything that is white with a white primer by Vallejo. Painting the tail. And painting the fan. The clothing on this model that isn't white is either black or red, the majority of it being red. To shade the red areas, I'm coming in with a zenithal shade of blue ink. Here's the bow for the tail. And now that the blue ink's dried, I'm coming in with a red ink to cover all the areas that will be red. Painting the small bits of red on the hands. Done my best to mask everything off. I actually don't think I had any overspray. And now I am coming in with some white on a brush. I strongly considered masking everything off and using the airbrush, but decided not to. That would have taken a long time. I probably would have had some issues with the masking given the texture on the cloth. And it only took 2 or 3 passes to get a nice solid coat of white on all of these parts. For the belt, I'm going yellow and dark brown. I've never quite been sure if this belt is gold or yellow, but figure what the hell, yellow it is. It's easy enough to cut these lines in with a brush, so the airbrush was absolutely out. Coming in on the fan with some red, doing a little bit of detail work. And here I am doing a freehand tree branch. Cherry blossoms are on the base, so I figured, why not? Just using a thinned out dark brown here. And I'm coming in with some very thinned out red and doing little squiggles. This doesn't look amazing, but it doesn't look terrible either. It didn't take very much time and it was kind of fun. And now I'm coming in with a rosier skin tone for all the places that crease. Elbow joints, knees, fingers, around the mouth, and the eyes. A little on the ears, collarbones, underarms, and every other joint in the body. Basically, if it bends in any way, it's getting this rosy color. Up the spine and the nape of the neck. Now I'm painting the scleras with a cream color. Coming in and doing the same for the teeth. Going over the irises with brown. and a little highlight of white. The eyelashes are being painted black. I'm hand brushing on some of that rosy flesh color and adding a little bit of white highlight on the lower lip. And the eyebrows are being painted brown. For future models I'm working on, I'm strongly considering just sanding any eyebrows that may be on the model off and painting them in with a brush. It's nice to know exactly where the eyebrows are, but it's also difficult to paint that little lip without getting any on the skin. So yeah, I'm thinking about just sanding those suckers off from now on. To finish out the makeup on the face, I'm coming in with some chalk pastels, a piece of sandpaper, and a brush. I am essentially applying makeup right now. Kind of tough to do this on the lip without giving her that Kool-Aid smile, so you need to be careful. I've painted the base black and I've gone over the cherry blossoms with a white ink. Now I'm coming in with the pink color. I'm hand painting the stones with white and black. I'm using a stippling action here as opposed to a brushing motion. This will end up giving me a more natural look for the stones. You may also notice that I've masked the cherry blossoms off. I'm going to do some speckling, and I'd rather not have to touch those up later. Coming in with a dry brush of gray over these smaller stones. There's a lantern that's a part of the base. I'm painting it the same way I painted the stone on the base. White paint being stippled on. Black paint over that. A very uneven coat. I'm trying to simulate stone here. After that dried, I went over the glass and the lanterns with white. And now I am airbrushing over that a rusty brown color. Attempting some object source lighting. After the brown dries, I hit the center of it with a white highlight. And then go over that with a yellow. And for the tree, I'm going over everything with a dark brown, with the exception of the flowers. Also, this doesn't have to be an extremely even coat. I primed it in brown, so if a little bit of that reddish brown primer shows through, that should be fine. It's just adding a little more depth to the tree. I'm going over all the flowers with a white ink. I haven't bothered to mask anything off here. This tree is obviously not the center of attention on this model, so I don't think it should be a problem if there's a little bit of overspray. Going over the flowers with some pink, the same that I used for the blossoms on the ground, and the lantern. I'm stippling on some PVA glue to the base. I'm going to be applying static grass. And this is how you get it to stick. Try to not put this glue on too evenly. You don't want the grass to look like a golf course. It's meant to be somewhat natural. $30,000 of electricity. Not to worry, it's the amperage that gets you. The static grass applicator is to make the grass stand on end. And if you use a thick enough PVA glue, the static grass should stay on end until it dries. That did hurt, but not terribly. It scared me more than anything. Here I've got some painted sawdust and PVA glue. Gonna mix this up and use it for moss with some water. I'm just applying this with an acid brush, some toothpicks, and tongue depressors. Putting it on some stones also. After it dries, it'll darken up a bit. Also adding some to the tree. I didn't add too much detail to this tree, but this moss goes a long way to add some variety of texture and color. These clothes are removable on this model. Obviously, I can't show you what it looks like without the clothes on, not here at least. If you're interested in seeing those pictures, you can check out my Instagram, link below. I'm also listing a link to the model below. Abe 3D, terrific sculptor. I'm a patron of his. I just love his work. There aren't too many sculptors that sculpt in 1/4 scale, and that really is what I prefer to paint these days. This was a pretty fun model to paint. Like I said, not too much in the way of clothing, but I got a chance to work on my flesh tones. And I do love a good natural base. Again, keep in mind, if you buy the model, the ponytail is going to be different. Like and subscribe. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments section. I'll absolutely get back to you.